You started to shiver while staring at the snow in absolute awe. You looked across to see Jungkook looking at you. A smile was planted on his face as he gazed at you. Jungkook, you shouted with a happy tone since he was a good distance away from you. What? He shouted back, his hands cupped around his mouth. Tomorrow I have to go to a dance with a 15-year-old. But after can we go to a skiing? You yelled at him with a questioning tone. I have never skiing, he shouted back, making your jaw drop to the ground. Really? You shouted back at him. He shook his head. You widened your eyes in surprise before you smiled at him with your head tilted slightly. He ran at you and you screamed happily, trying to sprint away. He caught up with you in seconds. He grabbed your hips, lifting you off the ground and spinning you in the air. You laughed uncontrollably while he spun you with a smile plastered on his face. He slowly lowered you with his arms around your waist now. We are going skiing tomorrow, you shrieked happily with a grin. If that's what you want to do for Christmas Eve, then we will do it. He kissed your cheek, his tears now dry and delight taking over the sadness. I don't want to cut this short, but can we go somewhere warm? You asked, holding your arms while trying to not to shiver. Oh shit, yeah, he noticed you had no jacket. He took off his duck's coat off and wrapped it around you. You slid your arms into the sleeves, but it was too big on you. The sleeves were longer than your hands. I know the coat is wet, but the inside is pretty dry, he reassured you. But you'll get cold, you pouted slightly. You didn't want him to get sick because of your clumsy ass forgetting your jacket. The jacket was already warm from his body heat. I don't care about me, he uttered, walking towards the car. You jogged slightly, catching up to him. He grabbed your hand, intervening fingers. You glanced at the tattoos on his fingers. You could barely read the letters. You found the rings on his hand. He had a silver one on his middle finger of his right hand. Jungkook was half Italian. His mother was from Korea and his father was from Italy. You don't know how they ended up together, but you are assuming it had to do with the mafia, of course. You would say his Italian side is more dominant than his Korean. You stumbled into the car, your hair dripping and your cheeks rosy red from the cold, but you wouldn't change anything. Snow was starting to fall so fast that the rain couldn't melt it. It was sticking to the ground. The snowflakes floated so gently in air, their only mission to reach the ground. They have one purpose and one goal. You wish your lives were as simple as snowflakes. Your one goal to find your soulmate. Your one purpose to be with them. You gawked at the window in disbelief at the beauty of the snow. How it made everything prettier. You turned to Jungkook to see him admiring your body due to the dress that was basically glued to your body because it was soaked. You could see where your hips curved more clearly now than before. Yes, your dress was skin tight, but it wasn't blistered to you like the dress is now. You struggled to get the dress off from your body. You had to peel it down past your hips and then let it just drop to the ground. You looked through your dresser to see you had no clothes to sleep in. You found your small pajamas short, but you couldn't find a short. Jungkook's room was right across from yours. Could you make it without anyone seeing you? You was in your inner, so they wouldn't see anything. But is it worth getting a scolding from Jungkook? Yeah. You opened your door and peeked your head out to the hallway, cautious. You tiptoed across and opened Jungkook's door, closing it behind you. You searched through Jungkook's dresser and found t-shirt he didn't wear. You slipped it on and was about to leave until the door opened. Jungkook stood in front of you with a beer bottle in his hand. Why are you in here? His eyebrow frown questioning you. This, you pointed at his shirt with a smile. Jungkook nodded. You didn't mind when Jungkook drank alcohol mainly because it relaxed him. Do you want to come downstairs? He asked before you walked out. No, I think I'm just going to sleep. You smiled at him slightly, then leaving. You saw a hint of disappointment appear on his face. Actually, I'll come down for a few minutes, you muttered, holding his bedroom door handle. You couldn't bear to disappoint him even slightly. I need to ask Chase and Grayson about the dance anyways. You shrugged. You was exhausted, but you could stay downstairs for a while longer. Plus, it was only 8 p.m., so if you went to bed now, the chances of you waking up in the middle of the night are very likely. Jungkook's t-shirt made it look like you had no shorts on underneath. It is because his t-shirt being so baggy. It smelled like his musky cologne, which you adored. You was praying that you didn't have nightmare tonight since you was exhausted. You sank into the chair, letting all your worries fade away. Jungkook is sitting across from you. Taeyong, Ice Sky, Chase, Jisoo and Grayson were all sitting on the couches around you. They were all chatting when Jungkook spoke up after sitting silently for a few minutes, taking sips out his beer bottle. All the guys had beers except Chase and Grayson, of course, and Jisoo was drinking wine. So Chase, I heard you wanted to take my girl to prom? Jungkook asked with questionable face. You couldn't tell if he was angry, overprotective or okay with it. You think he was all three. Yeah, Chase replied loudly. He wasn't afraid to admit it. So what time does the dance start at? Jungkook asked curiously. 2 p.m. Chase took out his phone, obviously not wanting to speak about it anymore. You saw Jungkook clench his jaw. He didn't like being ignored, and you don't think he definitely wasn't used to it. Put down your phone, Chase. Guy scolded, Chase snatching his phone from his hands. Grayson just sat in the corner, not paying attention to anything in the room. What time will you have her back by? Jungkook questioned him with a stern tone. 6 p.m. at the latest.
That means I can book our log cabin at 8, Jungkook stated to you. We are staying in a cabin? You gasped excitedly from the corner of the room. You think you are secretly a 3-year-old in a 22-year-old's body. It's the first time you have spoken since you came down here. Yeah, Jungkook said with a happy tone but no smile. You can't expect him to smile. You can't expect him to smile at you all the time. He's only getting used to smiling around you, let alone around his friends that probably see him smile only when he is drunk. Then again, he did have a beer in his hand. Ryan, do you want something to drink? Ice asked. You didn't even know he acknowledged you when you sat in the room. Yeah, please, you know that. See Jungkook, she has manner. Ice showed the side of Jungkook's head playfully while walking past to get you a drink. Be careful, she's a lightweight. Jungkook yelled into the kitchen warningly. You shot Jungkook a sharp and harsh glare. What? It's true, Jungkook shrugged. Ryan, what color is your dress? Chase uttered, taking his phone back off his dad. Black, you responded hesitantly. You was afraid that Jungkook would try and pick on him again, but instead he took a sip of his beer and shut his eyes. Ice came back in with coke mixed with vodka. I told you not to give her anything strong, Jungkook hissed at him, being protective of you. She's a big girl, Jungkook. She can handle it. Ice rolled his eyes, handing you the cup. You took a small gulp and it burned your throat slightly, but you didn't let Jungkook notice simply because he would worry about you drinking it. You took small sips from the plastic cup. You seen Chase and Grayson talking and laughing. You think this was the first time you had witnessed them getting along. Whiny, a drunk Jisoo called out to you. You turned to her, giving her your attention. Come, sit. She patted the empty sofa beside her. You glanced at Jungkook, who was talking with Taeyong and Ice, probably about business because it's all he does. Come on, I won't bite, I promise. She grinned with her teeth. You stood up hesitantly and walked over to her. The wooden floorboards were pretty creaky. You didn't really like being around people when they were drunk because it reminded you too much of your father. Why would you want to be around people who were drunk when you had to deal with an alcoholic at home, an abusive alcoholic? How did you meet Jungkook? You asked her with a soft tone. Our families were friends. We seen that Jungkook had a lot of pressure on him when he was 16, so we became friends with his father to keep an eye on him to make sure he didn't crumble under the pressure, and he didn't. Jisoo rambled with while drunk. Jungkook caught your eye while Jisoo continued to ramble about him. He looked you up and down like you was a meal ready to be eaten. You have only seen Jungkook drunk once before and he was funny when he was drunk. But this time he is more aggressive and it scared me. You broke eye contact with him, changing your glance to the floor. You saw him turn his attention back to Ice and Taeyong who were arguing about if pizza was better than burgers. Grayson came down and sat on the other side of you. She talks a lot when she's drunk. Grayson rolled his eyes. So what age are you? You asked him. I'm 15, turning 16 next month. Chase has only gone 15, Grayson explained. Are you and Chase friends? You questioned him. You was genuinely curious to know his answer because they constantly argue with each other. You think you hit a nerve with Grayson because he didn't respond. His voice was decently deep for his age. We were best friends. He smiles slightly at the thought of Chase and him when they were young. We would even sleep in the same bed sometimes when we were 3. He laughed lightly. But then we got older and Chase only got kinder and smarter. He's passing all his classes and E's and I'm proud of him, you know. I don't hate him. There was a silent pause for a brief moment. But I got older and all I got was angrier. I couldn't pass the easiest class if I tried. I have all these built up emotions and for some reason they keep wanting to explode when I'm around him, specifically. Grayson shook his head. I don't mean to hurt him, but I can't control it. He shut his eyes regretfully. You know what? I think you are, and don't get angry at me, I think you are jealous of Chase. You uttered, not wanting him to feel like you are degrading him by saying that. He scolded at you before saying, "Why would I be jealous of him? His mom is some whore who left him at our father's doorstep." The whole room fell silent. Grayson slapped his hand to mouth in shock of what he just said. Your jaw was open slightly and Chase just blinked at Grayson. "You shouldn't have said that." Chase looked heartbroken. "I'm sorry, I didn't." Chase jogged out of the room, leaving Grayson's sentence unfinished. You couldn't help but feel partly responsible. You made him angry, which caused him to burst. Jungkook's stare met yours. He was probably wondering what you did. "Grayson Kim Carter, you shouldn't have said that about your brother." Jisoo gawked in absolute shock. Grayson pulled at his hair angrily. "F this," he yelled, storming out. All the attention turned towards you. "What did you do, Ryan?" Taeyong glared at you. "Leave her alone, Taeyong," Jungkook growled, hitting him over the back of the head. You didn't mean to make him upset or angry. Jisoo and Kai just looked at wide-eyed at your direction, but you was too busy playing with your hands. You got up and left because you felt uncomfortable with everyone's eyes on you. You took a deep breath as you stood in the bathroom looking in the mirror. That was intense. You rolled your eyes and waited a few minutes. A knock on the door startled you. "Hey Ryan, it's Ice. I was checking up on you to see if you are okay." Ice has never willingly checked up on you before. "Did Jungkook send you?" You asked, sitting on the toilet with the cover for the seat down so that it was holding you up. You wasn't upset or anything. You needed a breather. You opened the bathroom door. "I'm fine," you spoke with a happy tone. "I just needed to get away from everyone." You sighed, walking out of the bathroom and into the kitchen. You jumped up onto one of Jungkook's high chairs in his kitchen. Ice just stood there awkwardly. "Ice, you can go back inside. I'm okay." You laughed. "I know, but I want to get to know you. I want to get to know why Jungkook is so obsessed with you." "I don't mean that in a bad way. I just don't understand. He has been with hundreds of girls and he chooses you. Why?" Ice had a good point. "Why does he like you?" You gurgled at Ice's question because you didn't really know how to answer that. "How do I know? You will have to ask him. I don't even like myself." You uttered, staring at the floor. Ice let out a long groan, staring at you and rolling his eyes. "Would you just shut up? You're gorgeous, you're kind, you're caring. You just wanted to see what would you answer, and congrats, you passed selfless check." He sounded angry. "Okay then," you smiled. You realized you had left your drink inside. "I'm going to get my drink." You grinned, hopping down from the table. Ice just called you gorgeous. That was weird. You decided to leave your drink and go upstairs to check on Grayson. You felt bad and you couldn't leave him upset. You tapped your knuckles against his door twice. You think this was the room he was staying in. "Just go," he yelled, throwing something at the door. It's fine. You lean against the door. He opened it slowly, a creak echoing down the hall. Hey, you said quietly, sealing your lips back together immediately after the word left your mouth. I'm so stupid. He flopped on his bed, letting out a hopeless sigh. I'm the heir to the empire that my dad has created, and I treat people like they are objects, even my own brother. He groaned angrily, pulling a pillow over his face. You are holding so much anger inside you. You stared at him, shocked at how a 15-year-old could be so angry. I blame my dad for this. He rolled his eyes. Him and his stupid genetics. Grayson pulled at his hair frustratedly. He seemed to do that a lot. He should probably stop doing that unless he wants to be bald by 20. How do you know your father gave the anger gene to you? You question. You was quite curious, to be honest. Apparently Kai had anger issues too, but Grayson says that he never got to see them. Because Jisoo helped him control them. You don't think you could do that with Jungkook. You don't think you could control him. He has all the control over you, but not enough to make you jump into a fire. Grayson explained how when he gets angry, it just bursts. It's not like a slow rising anger, it's a sudden burst that he doesn't feel. This was weird to listen to. He was explaining to you how he doesn't feel anger. He doesn't feel anger, but still gets angry. You listened anyways, because sometimes all we need is someone to listen, someone who won't judge you for what you say in the spur of the moment. I F everything up all the time. I'm so flawed. Grayson went sitting on the bed, a look of defeat flooding his face. I think you need to go apologize to Chase. You spoke up while Grayson just sat on the bed, staring blankly out of the window. He won't forgive me. I have never said anything like that about him before. I never even thought of it. It just came out of my mouth in the spur of the moment. I don't care about his mom or my mom. We are family by bond, if not by blood. He ran his hand over his forehead. I think you should be telling him this. You suggested, patting Grayson's shoulder. Grayson jumped up, and before he could run out, you stopped him. You are not flawed. You just need to learn how to control your anger. You smiled, softly getting a thumbs up in response. He sprinted down the hall. The only reason you know he sprinted was because you could hear the thuds from his footsteps getting faster. They faded down the hall. You let out a sigh before you checking the time. 7:45. You wandered into your room and lay in the bed, scrolling through your phone for a while. About 2 hours had passed and you think Grayson and Chase made up. You scrolled through your phone before watching YouTube. You was getting sleepy when the door creaked open, making you jump. You shot up and stared at the figure of a person standing at your door. It was so dark you couldn't tell who it was. Then, out of nowhere, the figure sprinted towards you. Screaming, you pulled the blanket over your head, and before you lifted them, you heard Jungkook erupt into laughter. Your heart felt like it was going to beat out of your chest. You grabbed the edge of the blanket and peeked out from over them to see Jungkook, who could barely breathe because he was laughing so hard. You have never heard him laugh uncontrollably. It caused a smile to appear on your face even though you wanted to kill him. You smacked his arm repeatedly knowing that it wouldn't hurt him but show him you was upset. You shit yourself, he said breathless. You really scared me. You smacked his arm again jokingly. He had a big grin across his face. His eyes light up when he laughs and his body becomes loose and is no longer tense. You think it was the alcohol that was making him happy, but either way you was okay with it. As long as he had a smile on his face, that's all cared about. He ripped off his white shirt and put on a jersey. You watched him change, not afraid to show him you was looking at his body. Wyan, my eyes are up here. He pointed to his forehead. That's your forehead, you replied cheekily. I mean that general area. He rolled his eyes with a smirk. He pulled down his suit trousers with ease and grabbed a pair of his basketball shorts. He hopped up on the bed beside you. You both laid in silence for a while, both of you laying on your backs. Why are you here? You turned over to face him. I could ask you the same thing, he retorted. I never wanted to go downstairs in the first place. You played with your hands to distract yourself from the guilt you was feeling. Why are you feeling guilty? He looked confused. Why did you feel guilty? Maybe it because everywhere you go you cause some sort of problem. You are a burden to everyone and everything. It's like anywhere you go, someone dies or gets hurt, and you have no control over it. Just being alive makes you worried for Jungkook. You feel like you are cursed or something. Wyan the curse. You almost giggled to yourself after thinking that, but it really wasn't funny. You just found out it coincidental because it was true. I don't know. You sighed shortly. His hands cupped the back of his neck and his elbow pointing away from his head. His head rested on the soft pillow. I don't know that much about you, he uttered out of the blue. Neither do I. You raised your eyebrows. You never really had time to think about what you liked or enjoyed doing. Your father limited your activities, and the only one he would let you do is the one you could use as an excuse for your bruises. You was forced to do things like boxing with your brothers and different stuff. Your least favorite was definitely football. You got tackled so many times that no one would second guess your bruises. It gave your father more freedom to beat you. Tell me about the things you like, you questioned, trying to dodge what he had asked you. I like you. Oh, did I say you? His placid expression turned into a big grin while speaking. What do you really like? I like fighting. He shrugged with a blank expression. His face didn't light up when he said it. Isn't your face supposed to light up when you talk about something you love? Why fighting? You asked with a confused tone, but you think you knew the answer already. Because I get to hit people I don't like, he snickered evilly, earning a smile from you. Yep, you knew it. Okay, let me ask the question again. What makes you happy? You mumbled quietly. He stayed silent for a while. He had to think about this one. Honestly, I didn't have anything that made me happy. He looked upset. Didn't? You questioned his past tense. Until I met you, he finished his sentence. You felt your heart melt and the butterflies going crazy in your stomach. He wasn't even touching you and he drove you insane. Jungkook was watching your reaction to his words closely. He liked seeing the effect he had on you. But you think it's really sad that his father also stripped him of finding out what he liked. You have heard that he had a really strict schedule as a child and that he didn't go to school. Jungkook had to excel at everything because he had. So, I make you happy? You chirped. Your face probably light up because you see him smile ever so slightly. Yeah, he admitted, sounding kind of embarrassed now. We should figure out what we like to do together, you suggested. I want to try archery. Jungkook muttered, giving you something to start with. Oh, me too. You agreed. And maybe football? He shrugged, not making up his mind. I'll pass on that one. You grumble the idea, making you want to curl up into a ball. Why? Because my father used to force me to play football so that he had an excuse for the bruises when I went to school. You stared at the ceiling, trying to suppress the memories of your aching body being repeatedly tackled and shoved by boys who were twice the size of you. Football was after school, so you had have time to heal for a few hours if you had gotten beaten the night before. Your body got used Your body got used to healing so fast that if you break a bone, you probably wouldn't have to go to the hospital because it could heal itself. But you would still go to the hospital because you don't want the bone to heal wrong. Okay, looks like football is no then. He mentally ticked that one off. No, I want you to try it though. You encouraged him to do it. You feel like he should do more teenager things. He is 24 after all, but he likes to act as if he is 50 with kids and a bad temper. Except the bad temper part is true. I don't want to do football if it will upset you, he groaned as he stretched on the bed. It won't, plus I'll get to wear your jersey. You smiled cheerily into the blankets. Oh, okay. He sounded reluctant, but it was progress. You are excited for the day where you can beat Jungkook in a sport. You will be better at a sport than him eventually. You are determined. What's your favorite color? You asked Jungkook. Red. He responded with certainty. Really? Red? You spoke with shock in your voice. Yeah, you sound surprised. He raised his eyebrows at you. I thought it was black. You pulled the blankets up to your neck, snuggling into them. What's your favorite color? He questioned. Maybe turquoise? You replied. Turquoise. He snickered, teasing you. Yeah, it's a good color. You persisted. What will I do about nursing school? You worriedly asked. You play with your hand under the blankets, changing the subject. What do you mean? He looked at you with a confused face. Well, my school requires me to be in a lot and I haven't been in for like 2 weeks, you explained as best you could. I'll talk to them. He spoke with a reassuring tone. Don't threaten to kill them. You warned him. I'll try not to. You both lay in silence for a while. Your brother is now officially the leader of the Diaz Mafia. Jungkook let out like he had been keeping it from you all day. You didn't know how to respond. Maybe because you forget about your father's death due to the fact you was so worried about Jungkook. Oh, you spoke placidly. I thought you would be happier. He sighed. He was probably upset that he brought it up in the first place. I don't know, you shrugged. I miss them a lot, but there's also the fact that if I go to see them this time it will be them who won't want me, instead my father. Concern grew on your face as you spoke. It would be their loss. He smiled slightly, trying to make you feel better. You smiled back, but it quickly faded away. Kai Hyung and Jisununa are leaving tomorrow after the dance to go home to their daughter. He muttered quietly. You could hear music playing downstairs and people talking. What's their daughter's name? You questioned while playing your hands. Ella, he said before grabbing your hands. That's a cute name. You smiled. Not as cute as Ara. He raised his eyebrows at you with a smirk, possibly suggesting names for both of your kids in the future. You wasn't even sure if you wanted to have kids. You had never planned to have a kid, but the longer you spend with Jungkook, the want to have a child grows. You think it would be cute having a bit of you and a bit of him mixed together into one human. The idea is weird. If you did have a child, you would want a boy, but it looks like Jungkook wants a girl. Probably so that he doesn't have to deal with his own bad temper passed down onto his son. God, you only imagine a mini Jungkook. He would definitely be a heartbreaker like his father. I like Jungsu for a boy. You finally chipped, a smile growing on your face. Jeon Jungsu. Jungkook mumbled slowly. I like it. He nodded approvingly. Okay, go downstairs and spend time with Kai Oppa and Jisoo One before they leave tomorrow after the dance. You urged, not wanting to take away from his time with them. Jungkook groaned before rolling off the bed and standing up. I would much rather spend all time with you, he grumbled as he walked out. You smiled at his words. You lay down with a warm feeling spreading throughout your body. It was happiness. He makes you happy, and no one can deny that Jungkook and you were going to make it. You believe you both can make it. You fell asleep with your mind on him, your soulmate. You slipped on your black dress that hugged your body, showing off your curves. It's probably not appropriate for a 15-year-old school dance, but you have nothing else to wear and you don't want to go in jeans and a shirt. Surprisingly, Jungkook isn't that bothered by what you wear anymore. You think he's loosening up very slowly. You heard a knock on the door. Come in, you shouted while doing your makeup in the mirror. Hey, Jisoo smiled. Hey, you grinned back, trying to stay focused on your mascara. So today is our last day here. She looked sad. Yeah, I think I'll miss you the most. You winked playfully at her, earning a smile. Thanks, I just came to see how you were doing, Jisoo stated. I'm okay, I guess. You shrugged carelessly. You don't have to go to this dance if you don't want to. She must have heard something about the past two dances, balls that you have been to. No, it's fine. It will make Chase happy, you said reassuringly. Okay, she sighed. I'll leave you to get ready. You finished curling your hair. You wasn't going full out today because it's only a school dance, but you put some effort in so that you didn't embarrass Chase and Grayson. You lifted your heels off the floor and placed them on the vanity table. You took one of the heels and slipped it onto your foot. You did the same with the other shoe and eventually made your way downstairs. Wow, you look good. Grayson winked at you before getting a death stare from Jungkook. Trying to impress the 15-year-olds? Jungkook questioned you with an intense look on his face. Nope, you shook your head with your arms folded stubbornly. Don't lie, he growled, playfully grabbing your waist and pulling you impossibly close to his body. I'm trying to look good only for you. You kissed his cheek softly. Okay then, he nodded, pecking your lips a few times before releasing you. Do you want me to drive you guys? Jungkook offered with a soft tone. please, you whispered, hugging him. You was starting to feel nervous. You just wanted to come home as soon as possible after the dance and go skiing with Jungkook. You and Jungkook waited in the car for Chase and Grayson to get in. They both got in at the same time arguing about something, but you was too busy playing with your hands to notice. You was bouncing your knee nervously as the anxiety slowly grew inside you. You didn't feel so good anymore. The drive was long since you had to go to Chase and Grayson's school that was practically 2 hours away. You got increasingly anxious the closer you got. You think Jungkook could see your worry. He was the only one who could read you like a book or notice your stress. You took a deep breath and let it out slowly, trying to calm down. You really think I would let you go to a dance without some of my guards there? He tried to console your stress. A weight was lifted off your shoulder. Terry will be there. Jungkook grabbed your hand while driving. Grayson and Chase were too into their phones to notice you and Jungkook. Nothing will happen, he reassured you as you pulled up outside the school 5 minutes later. Oh, okay, you responded with a shakiness in your voice. Grayson and Chase hopped out. You see Grayson greet a young pretty girl who was wearing an emerald green dress. That's why his tie is green. Chase waited outside for you. Kiss me. Jungkook grabbed your chin, turning your attention back to him. You pressed your lips against his, taking in the last few moments that you had left with him until you got home. He broke the kiss and pecked your forehead. He embraced you tightly, hugging you so that there was no distance between you both. You both were one. I promise I'll protect you until my last breath, he whispered in your ear as you held him in your arms. A lot of things had changed since the last dance. A lot of things. You looked at his face to see lipstick on his lips from where you had kissed him. A grin spread across your face while you looked at him. What? He asked, scowling at you defensively. You have a bit of lipstick on your lips. You giggled, jumping out of the car quickly, not giving him enough time to respond. You saw him try to wipe it off but failed to get all of it. He watched you walk with Grayson and Chase. Chase Carter came. Jungkook yelled from his car window. Chase turned around, showing Jungkook that he had his full attention. Take care of my girl, he yelled before driving off. Chase shook his head with a smile. Who is she? You asked Grayson, referring to the girl beside him. Her name is Zaya. She is my date. He smiled happily, holding her hand. They look cute together. What's your name? Zaya asked curiously. I'm Wyan. You smiled politely, shaking her hand. You don't look 15. I don't mean to be rude. She giggled lightly. Oh yeah, that's because she is not. Grayson laughed. Chase walked beside you with his hands in his pocket. It's a miracle. Jungkook even let you take me. We may as well make the most of it. You made your arm hook inside of Chase. A smile appeared on his face. Jungkook's words had put you at ease. The anxiety was no longer bugging you anymore. You are going to have a good day. About an hour had passed of Grayson and Chase greeting people. They were really popular among their peers. You saw Grayson talking to the jocks, if you can even call them that, and Zaya stood beside him happily while joining in the conversation ever so often. Chase was talking to some of his friends while you stood over at the food table. You tried some of the cake and it wasn't that good. You are assuming someone baked it though. You don't know why you came to this dance. This is so dumb. Why would you go to something that you almost died at last time? Well, to be fair, the last time the room was full of mafia men and this one is full of kids, but still, you could feel your breath started to get heavy again as your eyes frantically scanned the room for any of Jungkook's men.
Hey, someone tapped your shoulder, making you jump in fear. It was Terry. I came over to see if you were okay because you look a little distressed. Terry mumbled as you calmed down. At least Terry was here. That make it better. I'm fine now. You smiled only slightly. He could see the discomfort on your face. You have only got 2 hours left. You can do it. Terry cheered you. Thanks, Terry. You ate a muffin before leaving Terry to eat the food. It was now the last dance of the night, and you had respected Jungkook's wish of not dancing with Chase. But you are going to break it now. You walked over to Chase. Hi, he smiled. Do you want to dance? You questioned with a cheeky smile, knowing you were going against Jungkook's wish. But Jungkook Young said nobody will tell him. You interrupted, quickly grabbing his hand and pulling him onto the dance floor.
You glance over to see Zaya and Grayson slow dancing to the song. Grayson was grinning while he danced with her. I don't know how to dance, Chase muttered, looking embarrassed. Come on, I'll teach you. You placed his hand on your waist, but not too low because you didn't. You didn't want Jungkook to cut off his hands. You wrapped your arms around his neck. How are you and Grayson? You asked curiously. We are okay now. He told me some stupid line that he came up with and I forgave him. I know he didn't mean it. Chase shrugged. He is the bad boy out of the two of you, huh? You smiled jokingly at Chase, who nodded, agreeing with your theory. He had his eyes on Zaya since the start of the year, but she finally gave in when he asked her to the winter dance. Chase explained. Did he ask anyone else first? You asked curiously. No, it was only her and he got her. Chase looked kind of sad. I take it he's popular with the girls then. Yeah, all the girls go crazy over him. Chase rolled his eyes in annoyance. All of them? You raised your eyebrows surprisingly. I mean, look at him. He's the star QB who's popular and good looking. What girl wouldn't want a guy like that? He sighed defeatedly. It's okay, you'll find someone who'll like you just only you. You reassured him.